$200 billion market cap, theme parks on almost every continent, and control over franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar. Disney doesn't just make movies, it shapes childhoods. From healing the Great Depression to consumer collapse, it brought us joy through the limitations and made us addicted by its constant presence. But the main secret to its empire? Selling you nostalgia over and over again. Hi, I'm Inishev, and in this video you will know how Disney became this powerful and why it controls so much of what we watch, love and remember. Stick around, because today we are breaking down Disney's strategy for dominating culture and your wallet. Lights, camera, action. Think about it. How many times has Disney made you to buy The Lion King, first as a VHS, then a DVD, then a Diamond Edition Blu-ray, and finally as a live-action remake? And that's not even counting the toys, the theme park rides, or the Broadway show. Of course, there are some reasons for this. The first thing you should understand is that Disney isn't about cartoons. It's about the modern idea of childhood. It sells parents and children a promise that no matter how bad the world gets, there is always a happy ending waiting if you follow the rules. The most notable and initial iteration of this phenomena appeared in 1940 when Disney released Pinocchio, a film reassurance. Why am I saying so? Well, at the time the US was still crawling out of the Great Depression. The Second World War had begun, and parents had no guarantee their kids would survive, let alone succeed. Social mobility was a fantasy, and Disney's solution was simple: a wooden boy who could become real, but only if he was brave, truthful, and unselfish, even in such a dangerous world. Disney's message was clear: good children get happy endings, bad ones turn into donkeys. Depression-era families were told that your child can be stressful, safe, and loved, but only if they internalize the right values. And it worked. Pinocchio wasn't just a hit, it became the blueprint for every Disney story that followed. But the company didn't stop at storytelling and promotion of idealized narratives. They engineered something far more powerful: a complete cultural takeover. And they did it by transforming childhood itself into a product through plush toys, clothing, and eventually an entire theme park. Disney made childhood synonymous with consumption. That emotional connection you felt with Dumbo or Cinderella, suddenly it had a price tag. By flooding homes with merchandise, Disney created what media scholars call the Disney effect, where their cartoons stopped being entertainment and became the unquestioned background of American life. First came the bedtime stories, then the toy boxes filled with characters you loved, then the family vacations where you could step into their world. With every product, Disney was constructing an entire ecosystem of childhood. 1966 was a dark year for the studio. Walt Disney passed away, but the company didn't fade. It evolved, and in the decades that followed, Disney perfected a new kind of magic: the art of making nostalgia itself a product. Because Disney has been more inherently present in culture since its founding than any other media company, their content is more attached to childhoods across multiple generations as well. Baby boomers grew up with Dumbo, Cinderella, and Lady in the Tramp. Their kids got The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King. Through their aging, all of these films have become beloved and recognizable across the globe, adding a nostalgic sense of time and place in relation to their theatrical release and subsequent VHS releases. And here is where Disney played it smart. In the 90s, as home video took off, they pulled a genius move: the Disney Vault. Not a real shortage, but a planned scarcity. It means that Disney systematically suspended distribution of its classic films, only re-releasing them every 10 years as limited editions. The result? Ordinary cartoons became collectible gold. Parents who grew up with Bambi in theaters now race to buy the VHS for their kids before it disappeared again. And this strategy evolved with technology from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray, always keeping Disney one step ahead of nostalgia. So yeah, 30 years ago, Disney realized that its greatest asset wasn't just animation, it was memory. But what happened when this model bumped into the digital age? Well, that's where things got even more interesting. With future advances in film technology and yet another generation of Disney consumers, the Disney perpetuation model has evolved into creating new, or rather remade content. Yeah, they decided to make us pay for the same stories all over again. And you know what? It worked. Starting with 2015's Cinderella, Disney cracked the code on how to sell your childhood back to you with a 21st century polish. Modern Cinderella wasn't just cleaning floors, she embodied a new Disney mantra: have courage and be kind.
For she remembered her promise to her mother. Have courage and be kind.
A far cry from her 1950s counterpart who basically waited for a prince. The film was highly anticipated, boasting not only the story of Cinderella but a largely respected modern cast. Lily James as Cinderella, Kate Blanchett as the evil stepmother, Helena Bonham Carter as a fairy godmother, and Richard Madden as a prince. Relatively new technology, CGI, was used to create sequences previously limited to animated films, like the transformation of Cinderella's dress and turning a pumpkin into a carriage. While not a major box office hit, gathering only $500 million, the relative success of Cinderella as a Disney's first release of modern-day remake was enough to justify a continuation of this strategy. In 2017, the Beauty and the Beast live-action remake was the first of its kind to surpass the 1 billion mark at the worldwide box office. The same market milestone has also been achieved by Aladdin and The Lion King. And of course, we can't forget the current rising star Lilo and Stitch. In its first weekend alone, the live-action adaptation grossed $341 million at the box office, surpassing the original animated film's total run and setting a new record for May releases. A current proof that live remakes still work for Disney. All these movies, by the way, aren't shot-for-shot copies. Each remake strategically fixes the original date's aspects, whether through diverse casting, updated generous roles, or jaw-dropping CGI. It's nostalgia with a moral facelift. And audiences, they can't get enough. Despite releasing multiple remakes yearly, Disney's created something immune to fatigue: generational FOMO. Parents who grew up with the cartoons take their kids to see the new version, creating fresh memories tied to the same stories. And with Disney's World of Classic, they've got enough raw material to keep this cycle spinning for decades. But what will happen when they run out of classic to remake? Well, I doubt they will, because the Walt Disney Company has pursued multiple massive acquisitions over many years. Starting with Miramax in 1993, Disney bought ESPN, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, 21st Century Fox, and that's not all. Now, Disney doesn't just own your childhood, they own your dad's childhood, your teenage obsessions, and even the shows you watched when you thought you were too cool for Disney. And that's not the end. After conquering theaters Thames Park and toy stores, Disney set its sights on the final frontier: your living room. In November 2019, Disney launched its ultimate weapon, Disney Plus. A streaming service marketed as a space for every and all content made by Disney of their acquired properties. Emphasized by the tagline, "The world is wide open." Suddenly, every Disney Channel original series, TV movies, and every forgotten short film was available not for a limited time, but forever. And here is the real question: when everything is instantly available, does anything still feel special? Ultimately, each person must answer that for themselves, but the facts are staring us in the face. Today, it's nearly impossible to live without Disney. Watch sports? ESPN. Go to the movies? Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar. Scroll TikTok? Disney owns those sounds too. They own so much of what is beloved and valued in our culture that to deny Disney would be considered un-American. So, what's your favorite Disney film? Share it in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe, and see you in the next one.